The Skull Merchant is in an even worse spot now than she was before, to the point where she is the easiest, simplest character in all of Dead by Daylight. You may be thinking that after her rework that she's not as bad anymore, that now that she can't infinitely defend generators that she's fine now. But it's not that Chess Merchant is gone, but rather that her kit has shifted from infinite defense to infinite offense. Chess Merchant's main issue is that she could place drones on generators and survivors couldn't do generators because they'd get detected and lose, right? So what is Skull Merchant's new game plan then? She places down her drones in loops and she wins there, where in both scenarios, survivors have no options to realistically win. Let's start with the first issue of the Skull Merchant's power, and it is the most important part of any killer power, the counterplay. Most, if not all, killers have some form of counterplay, whether it is difficult or easy, if it's something in chase or outside of chase. Every killer has some form of counterplay. When they designed the Skull Merchant's new power, I'm pretty sure they forgot the whole concept of being able to play around the killer's power. See other killer kits who can be shut down in chase, like the Knight with his standard, Singularity Camera with EMP, or blocking line of sight against Huntress or other ranged killers. However, Skull Merchant has no sort of counterplay like this, as she falls into the worst category of counterplay, holding W. The only winning move is to not play. The best way to deal with Skull Merchant is just running away in a straight line, an effective tactic, albeit incredibly boring for both sides. Due to how her drones operate, something I'll get to later, the vast majority of times you cannot ever try and loop her. Her ability to place down drones is instant and basically infinite, and if you're caught, in 9 out of 10 scenarios you will just straight up lose the chase with no options available. See, when you run into a loop with no drone in it, all the Skull Merchant has to do is press one button, and the whole loop is instantly trapped, set up instantly. And if you decide to keep looping instead of running away, you will be hit with so many status effects that you wind up getting an achievement. There's only one sort of counterplay to her, but it is not a realistic one at all. The best way to deal with Skull Merchant is yes, taking out her drones, but that is more often than not only possible in a Survivor Friends, being in a coordinated team. This is not possible in public games, due to survivors lacking communication and having different plans for what they want to do, if they want to heal, split gens, focus gens, etc, etc. In a public solo queue game, it's not like the Meg will tell Dwight to go disable the drone in Shack because Dwight either A, doesn't know that there is one in Shack, or B, he thinks that they need to pressure gens first. Then obviously, of course, Survivor Friends beat every killer in the game, so saying Survivor Friends beat her and is her counterplay is like saying Nurse is overpowered. We all know this, it's painfully obvious what killers can do against Survivor Friends, not much. However, this is only a short-term solution and doesn't help the survivors mid-chase. If a survivor gets caught in a bad area with no loops nearby, it's better to just try and run into a corner and waste as much time as possible, because it's not possible to ever win a chase against a Skull Merchant. There's no exceptions. The longer a match goes for, the better and better she gets. A good concept for a killer's game plan, but executed horribly due to how laughably simple her win condition is. This is still the least bad part about her kit. The second worst thing about her kit are the drones itself. The Skull Merchant has been transformed into a trapping killer like Hag, Freddy, Trapper, etc., but has everything they do better. All of the trapping killers have one thing in common, and that's after a trap is activated, they need to be replaced or activated again. Skull Merchant is the exception to this case, as her drones will stay around forever until they are disabled. Another thing is that the Skull Merchant's drones will repair themselves. It's like if Trapper's Iridescent Stone was base kit, so even if you disable it, it'll only be a matter of time until it activates itself again. So what's even really the point of disabling it? It's just gonna come back a few seconds later. Meaning that she can truly set and forget her drones with minimal thought required. Unlike the Trapper or Hag, having to think carefully about where they want to place their traps because it takes a few seconds to set up and how it's a one-time use, she can place them down instantly while moving and gaining undetectable. Yes, Freddy can place down his traps while moving too, but his power only works while survivors are asleep, meaning that if they just use a clock to wake up, he effectively has no power against them for a whole minute. Skull Merchant 2 has the easiest power in the whole game to recall out of every other killer, compared to killers like Singularity, Knight, or Trapper who need to manually go out of their way to recall it, or killers like Hag or Freddy where their oldest trap gets destroyed instead of being able to select which one they want to get destroyed. For the Skull Merchant, all she has to do is look at it and can recall it with the push of a button. No cooldown or anything, just cross map, push a button, that drone's recalled. Compared to a killer like Demogorgon who can't even undo his power without a survivor destroying it, it makes this seem like a godsend. And even if you disable them, that doesn't do anything. While disabled, Skull Merchant can still instantly recall it back, so it's not even like disabling limits her powers for a bit like before, as she can just boop and it's back. At least with the old Skull Merchant, when a drone was disabled, it couldn't be replaced until the claw trap was off of the survivor. But now, as soon as a trap is disabled, she can instantly call it back and place it down instantly. So survivors waste more time than the killer does. Like, look at how easy it is to replace. If they made it so that the drone is unresponsive to commands after being disabled, therefore can't be recalled, it would be much more effective in disabling them, because then she's out of a drone for a while, but nope, it can instantly be recalled and replaced whenever she wants. Next is that as the match goes on, the effective play area decreases, as obviously if there's no gens on one half of the map, there's no reasons for survivors to want to run there, and there's no reason for killers to want to try and loop there. If there's no generators or any sort of pressure there, why be there? This is something common along all trapping killers, but Skull Merchant makes it of course worse due to her drones lasting forever. Meaning that if you get caught in the half of the map with 4 drones that are active, that's basically every single jungle gym and loop trapped, and it's only a matter of time until you're hit with the worst part of her kit. Since her drones stay forever, that means that she doesn't even have to replace her drones after downing someone, like with Trapper or Hag. It just means that the next time someone runs through there to try and loop, they're already fucked. But now, let's get into the true worst part about her kit, the part that completely makes this killer the easiest in the game. After running through her traps long enough, you will get the claw trap put on you, making you broken and, if you were scanned again, deep wounded and hindered. You truly have 0 options at this point and nothing can save you, but this is only half of the issue. The other half is that she gets faster. For every survivor currently on the radar, she gains more and more haste, meaning that because you tried to loop one too many times, you are now 10% slower and she is 3% faster, at minimum level. Let me put this into perspective for you. Wesker's hindered is 8%, which activates after getting hit and takes about a minute or so to fully infect you. Clown's is 15% for 2 seconds after leaving the cloud. Skull Merchant's is 10% for 6 seconds. It both lasts longer than Clown's and is stronger than Wesker's, while also of course being deep wounded, broken, and constantly shown to the Skull Merchant because of the trap. And then again, she gets haste. See, at least Clown needs to think about where to throw bottles and reloading them takes time, but Skull Merchant can spam her drones and gain haste and hinder survivors at the same time. Like I said, the longer you stay in chase against a Skull Merchant, the worse it gets, due to the status effects and unavoidable hit. If she places her drones down in any hotspot like cow tree, shack, main building, or anything like that and you try and loop it, you will be affected by the claw trap and hindered, so no exceptions. But this is still only half of it because of course she has amazing add-ons and she has basically everything. Blindness, she has it. Oblivious, she has it. Sloppy Butcher, she has it. Exhaust, she has it. She can even make the hindered stronger and last longer, or make her haste stronger. She has everything. So not only could you be broken and deep wounded, she can make you slower, make her faster, you unable to hear her tear radius, or make you mangled / hemorrhage. She just has everything. You can't even try and body block against her since the drones will injure everyone trying to tank, so it's not even worth trying to group up because then you can have multiple people scanned that are broken and deep wounded, which is a major liability. Along with that is that you can't tank against her at all due to the deep wound. Dead hard, off the record, buckle up, etc. don't work because of that. And you can't even hide against her because her claw trap reveals you no matter what, so distortion or calm spirit can't save you, you just lose. So to recap and bundle everything she can do together. She has drones that can be recalled and placed instantly while moving that give her undetectable. They stay forever unless someone destroys them. The drones can hit you with the kitchen sink of status effects. She can make you slower and her faster for free, and you can never escape her. Truthfully, in Chase, she has 0 counterplay and you just lose. Like, even against other top tier killers, there are at least maybe 1 or 2 things you can do against them. Blight or Nurse hide in a locker while they're in their power since they can't open it. Spirit can't vault or go through pallets. Artist, you can try and bait crow shots. God, that sounds like an innuendo, etc, etc. Like I said before earlier though, these aren't exactly easy or, good counterplays compared to other killers, but still they are viable options. But for Skull Merchant, once you're hit with the claw trap, it's basically already over as you get hit with a 13% speed difference. You get a 10% buff and she gets a 3% haste boost. You can't dead hard to save your life, nor can you escape her. She truthfully just wins and you cannot do anything. I wouldn't even count her quote-unquote counterplay of running away and holding W as true counterplay. Because you're not countering the power and disabling it or anything. No, instead you are just avoiding it. Like I said earlier, the only winning move is to not play. I guess if you want to consider holding W against her counterplay, sure, but I wouldn't really consider it counterplay at all because that's something that happens universally with most killers. You can just hold W against every killer in the game, so it's not exactly counterplay, it's just a tactic to avoid any killer's power. You can hold W and run away from Trapper or Hag or Pig because not like they can really catch up. Same thing with Skull Merchant, so I wouldn't really consider it specific counterplay against her. That's just, something universal in the game. I guess the only real downside to her kit is the fact that she has 0 map mobility, but she makes up for it by having every single status effect you could possibly need and making it impossible to escape against her. I am glad that they got rid of Chess Merchant and her power not working at all against injured survivors, but what we have now I'd say is just as bad for different reasons, and again, I have no real solutions to fix this other than tweak some numbers, reduce the hindered, remove deep wound, don't let her have haste, etc, etc. As is now, she still maintains the highest kill rate in the game, so it's not like they changed anything, she's still the best killer at destroying solo queue players. However, I did commit the cardinal sin of buying her with auric shards, and I became the very thing I swore to destroy. And like I always say, the more you despise and hate something, the more you'll eventually love it. And this sadly is the case for me. Skull Merchant is such an easy fucking killer that you can turn off your brain and always at minimum get a 3k. And so far out of like my 30 matches, I have yet to lose a single match because she is that simple. Sadly, one of my subscribers somehow got caught in the crossfire, so if you're watching this, I apologize. This was for an experiment. I didn't mean to hurt you. I don't have anything else to say other than please come check out my stream tomorrow, this Monday. If you're watching this the day it goes live, so take care of yourselves and have a damn good one. Peace.